Hello, my name is Alison Large and I'm one of the Dento-legal advisors here at the DDU. And firstly, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to view this short presentation. Today, I'd like to speak to you about remote working. We're all very aware that the current COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted upon the delivery of dentistry throughout the UK in a way that even a number of months ago, as a profession, we could have not imagined. Government's wider guidance and the statements issued by the chief dental officers across the 4 nations has resulted in many dentists having to now undertake their consultations remotely. As a team of Dento-legal advisors, we're all dentists ourselves, and we're entirely sympathetic to the frustrations and challenges associated with the current circumstances all our professional colleagues have found themselves in. We appreciate that for many of our members, undertaking an assessment and making a diagnosis without having the opportunity to examine a patient is a very unusual situation. You may have found that if you needed to rapidly adapt to an entirely new way of working. As a result of this change, we've received numerous calls to the DDU's advice line on this topic. In this presentation, I plan to cover some of the general Dento-legal considerations associated with undertaking remote consultations. Adjusting to undertaking assessment of a patient without seeing them has been a rather daunting prospect for many dentists. However, utilising current technologies may allow you to overcome some of the challenges that remote consultations pose. Do remember, the same core GDC principles apply to your remote consultation as would be applicable if you're conducting a normal face-to-face appointment with a patient. It may therefore be helpful to remember that the consultation is simply being conducted in a different manner, and therefore the DDU's guidance on confidentiality, consent, record keeping, and communication are all applicable. If you wish to access the DDU's guidance on any of these topics, you can do so from the associated links. It is also important to ensure you have appropriate indemnity arrangements in place. We appreciate that when routine dentistry ceased back in March, many members were unsure about what roles they might be expected to undertake at the practice or in the wider NHS. If you are providing remote consultations, including telephone triage for patients, please call or email our membership department. The email address is membership@theddu.com. We can ensure that your membership with the DDU has been appropriately updated to reflect any activities that you're undertaking during the coronavirus pandemic. This would include providing any remote advice. I would also like to highlight to you a document entitled High-Level Principles for Good Practice in Remote Consultations and Prescribing. This document sets out the shared high-level principles of good practice which are expected of all healthcare providers, including dental professionals. The GDC was one of the co-authors in this guidance, and the relevant link is on the website. The government's current guidance advises that everyone stays at home as much as possible and that people work from home if it's possible to do so. If you're advising patients from home, the Information Commissioner's Office has provided some guidance on working from home, which states, data protection is not a barrier to increased and different types of home working. During the pandemic, staff may work from home more frequently than usual, and they can use their own devices or communications equipment. Data protection law doesn't prevent that, but you'll need to consider the same kinds of security measures for home working that you'd use in normal circumstances. Across the UK, the guidance to dentists from all the chief dental officers is that patients should be remotely triaged, offered advice, and if appropriate, the prescription of analgesics and antimicrobials. It may also be necessary to decide if the patient needs to be seen face to face. If this is the case, you should follow local arrangements with regards to the provision of any clinically necessary urgent treatment. We suggest that each practice appoints a lead person with responsibility for checking the relevant COVID-19 advice, including the appropriate referral pathways for urgent care. It would be the lead person's role to make sure the information is up to date and shared with the rest of the dental team. We are all aware that changes in guidance are currently happening at a significant pace, and it's for this reason that we would advise that you view documents from a website rather than relying on a saved copy, which may no longer be current. In my next presentation, I will set out some practical tips and considerations for conducting a remote consultation. And I also plan to focus in more detail on the record-keeping aspects of working remotely, as well as details on prescribing remotely. I hope that you find this helpful. I would also like to take this opportunity to invite you to email in any other topics you think it might be helpful for us to cover in this series of presentations. Please email them to feedback@theddu.com with the subject coronavirus questions, and we will try to incorporate them in one of our future presentations. Alternatively, if you're seeking any specific advice, please do not hesitate to call the DDU's advice line on 0800 374 626. The advice line is fully operational between 8 AM and 6 PM Monday to Friday and would be more than happy to take your call. For urgent inquiries outside these times, including over bank holidays, we additionally provide a 24-hour service. At this very challenging and truly unprecedented time for the profession, I would like to reassure all our members of the DDU's ongoing support and assistance.